Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined with one hell of a crew today. You guys are going to love this. John Romano, Chris Aceto, and our special guest, Dr. Tony Huge. Welcome to the show. Oh, look at those biceps. Look at the guns. It's a gun show today, guys. And Lee Priest might be joining us a little later. He's driving home. He didn't want to disrupt our podcast with a poor connection. Now, the reason we have Tony Huge here today is there was a huge, no pun intended, announcement this past week. Big Rammy was signed to an exclusive deal with Tony's new company.
Right.
Tell
yeah.
us
So
about that.
Big Rammy and Dennis James.
And how did Dennis James get involved with that, the whole signing?
I think that's one of the reasons why they were so excited to sign with Enhanced, is because I wanted to keep them together because they made a great team in preparing for this Olympia. Right. Obviously, Chad Nichols was Big Ramy's coach, but Dennis James has been like a best friend to Big Ramy for a long time. And during the last 3 weeks of prep, Big Ramy was with Dennis James at his house, and he was. I mean, I call it babysitting, but, in bodybuilding, you kind of need a babysitter. You need a coach, and you need, like, someone kind of babysitting, too. So
it worked well.
Yeah, push the limit. So by keeping them together and building that synergy, I think for the first time in a project together, I think it's going to be really synergistic.
Did you sign Chad, too?
No.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the company do? What did you sign them to do?
So, I'm involved in many companies, all relating to the Enhanced umbrella. But the United States mainstream supplement company, Enhanced Labs, which is, if you get a visual on it, so that's the Enhanced Labs product line. Gotcha. So Big Ramy and Dennis James are officially, on the surface, signed to the mainstream United States lawyer-reviewed everything, completely mainstream company.
Different company.
It has to be that way because big names in bodybuilding, they have to. They can't go hardcore. They can't go underground until maybe later in their career when they retire. Like you, Dave, you can talk about anything now because you're not in the circuit.
I talked about everything when I was competing. That's probably why I never got a pro card. Hold on, but you know what? Chris brings up a very good point. Oh my God, brought up a very good point before the show started. He said it as a joke, but it really wasn't a joke. He said, Tony, I thought you're a drug dealer. I thought you're the guy who's the gray market, on the edge type of guy that sells stuff that, other people would be too scared to sell, because you know how to push the law, right on that very fine edge. What made you decide to sell legitimate supplements? It's a lot. I imagine there's a lot less money involved in that.
And Romano's holding up, and I happen. This is coincidence.
You actually have that, John?
I have quite a bit of it.
Wearing my 1 gram DNP Club shirt.
And by the way, John didn't even know Tony was going to be on the show. That's how funny that this.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I told you the last I saw Tony was with 2 hookers in a hotel in Panama, and then he disappeared.
You saw him in Panama?
No, we were on Skype or something.
Oh, right.
We were doing what did we do? A radio show or some podcast or something?
Yeah. Yeah. By all accounts, I'm supposed to be dead right now, but instead,
or arrested. I thought you were going to be
arrested. Is what I thought. You were under federal indictment or whatever, and you were. You gotta fill us in between that and now, because
right now he's in Thailand, so he can pretty much he's out of the jurisdiction of the U.S. government right now.
His main goal for the last 5 years that I've known him is to stay out of the jurisdiction of the U.S. government. So, and he's done a pretty good job.
And the U.S. government has long arms, but the further I am away from the U.S., the less interesting I am as a target in the U.S. So it's just safer for me to be offshore or away from those type of cultures. So yeah, I'm in Thailand. Dennis James actually is pretty famous around here in Thailand.
Yeah, he lived there for a while, right?
Yeah, actually, same city. I'm in Pattaya, Thailand right now, the beach town 2 hours south of Bangkok. And this is where Dennis James actually had a gym here. So everybody talks about the glory days when Dennis James was here and how they trained at Dennis James Gym. They met Dennis James, all these type of things. Yeah.
Dennis James got arrested there too, didn't he?
Yeah, 2004 for ecstasy. Ecstasy.
That's a pretty serious crime over there, isn't it?
Ecstasy pills, cocaine, methamphetamine, very serious. Steroids, not serious. I mean, even when they busted him in 2004, he had a little bit of ecstasy and a lot of steroids, but they didn't care about the steroids. It's just not an illegal recreational drug here.
Right. Interesting. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It's odd. Well, I wish our government was like that, don't you, John?
Yeah.
They don't care about the steroids.
I wish they just didn't care, period. Because
that's true.
It would save us all a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so there's still Enhanced Athlete International, which does SARMs and research chemicals and all sorts of interesting injectables, but that's totally separate from the mainstream company. So Big Ramey's not allowed to get involved with the hardcore side of things. He's going to be on the mainstream side, and there's more of a division between the companies now. There's different CEO for each company. There's boundaries. They don't mix finances, information, nothing. That way, none of the risk from the international hardcore company carries over to the mainstream company. It's very insulated.
Yeah. Yes, I'm drinking cadaver growth hormone here. Someone wanted to know that. Yeah. It's called Amino Evolved. It's available.
I'm drinking your other flavor.
We said, like Tony Huge, I like to, be cutting edge. We're selling cadaver growth hormone. It's actually orally absorbable, though. It's not. You don't have to inject it. Formaldehyde, actually, is that what
avoids the first pass.
There you go. What's going on with the lady boys? Any lady boys over there? Or you've been laying low on those?
I always love hanging out with the lady boys. I think it's really interesting, really entertaining. It's shocking for the audience, and so I still hang out with the lady boys. Yeah.
Now, what made you go after Big Ramy? Obviously, he's Mr. Olympia, but that Mr. Olympia comes with a big price tag, Tony.
Yes, very expensive. But it was the thing where it's like, do we get a couple influencers that are smaller, or do we just go all the way and get number one? And so it was, let's try going number one. We had never really gone that direction before. So, and I've got a long career in the industry ahead of me too. So I'm really curious to see how that works out. It's a big risk. It's a huge financial risk. But I think with what we can do with Ramey behind the scenes too, and I think, obviously he's got a large following in the U.S., but his international following, and also Dennis James' international following, is actually much bigger than their U.S. following. Like in the U.S., I think the following of some of these sort of Gymshark influencers, these pretty boy, they're actually bigger, but internationally they really respect the size and also the fact that he won Mr. Olympia. Sure. So we're going to use that to help get the mainstream products into all these other countries that we didn't have exposure to before, especially the Middle East.
Right. Now, what would you like when you sit down and say, we're going to sign Big Ramy, and Dennis James, because you wanted to keep them together, obviously. You have to have like a marketing strategy. There's no magazines where you're taking, ads out for that type of thing. Is it totally social media driven, these campaigns?
It's going to be okay. There's a combination of sort of the old school, on the front of magazines type approach, sort of mass marketing, brand recognition style. But we're also going to do a lot of really specific targeted stuff. For example, what I think Big Ramey and Dennis James have most to offer is the hard work ethic. And on my side, I'm always talking about shortcuts and using the chemistry as shortcuts. And I don't mind admitting that I work a lot less hard in bodybuilding on my own physique and with people I work with as far as diet and training, and I make up for that with chemistry. And with Dennis James and Big Ramey, it's going to be the opposite. They're going to be able to, and they really only can, because they can't push the hardcore chemistry. We're going to push really hard on the work ethic. And I know for us Americans, we're already a little more hardcore when it comes to training hard, this American style. But you take these other countries like the Middle East and like India, for example, that we anticipate growing into, and they're really missing the hard work component. They're using a lot of chemistry and they're not working very hard. They don't know. So we're going to try to really use Ramy and Dennis to get into the psychology of these people and teach them how to train harder, just that intensity, that grit. So that's what the campaigns are going to be around.
So you're going to be able to actually send Ramy around to these countries and stuff like that and do seminars and stuff like that?
No, it's mostly going to be digital.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
there's going to be some travel. There's going to be some appearances. And Ramy's definitely going to be with us at the Olympia, the next Olympia coming up at the booth and all that. But no, we're going to do a lot of digital information.
Won't Ramy be competing at the Olympia? I don't know if he's have time to sit at the booth.
Yeah, it's not going to be a lot. There's going to be just photo ops and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Chris, you're very silent. Questions?
I just think there's Mr. Olympia. Yeah, it's great for Ramy. You know my position, Dave.
Well, I think the fans want to know your position.
Huh?
You think Ramy made the signing because of the money or the opportunity to maybe go beyond just working for a company?
I think he made the. I mean, I don't know, but I would always, when you're Mr. Olympia, you always go with the money. So if somebody comes and can break Tony Huge's contract tomorrow with double the money, you know what? Everyone who's done bodybuilding knows how hard the sport is. You honestly, you should probably have no loyalty to a company because it's for most people, bodybuilding is a short career, and you want to get as much money out of it as you possibly can.
Right. So,
him departing his old company, right? Either they're not paying him, which someone already said here, which I don't know for sure, but somebody said that they weren't paying him, which means you're getting nothing and you're Mr. Olympia, which is ridiculous. Even if you're getting shorted, it's even more insulting.
Right.
Mr. Olympia should be paid generously. Certain people in the past who have been Mr. Olympia, or many people have been paid generously, but I always think Mr. Olympia should hold out for the maximum amount of maximum amount of money. So Tony Huge, either your supplement line is going gangbusters or your other line has been going gangbusters. Whichever it is, Mr. Olympia deserves, the $400,000 and more paycheck to win the show, and he also deserves, in this case, Ramy, big money. So Tony obviously stepped up, and when he said laid it all on the line, obviously he has.
Yeah, Tony, had you just take a big risk because obviously the supplement company hasn't been out long enough to make a ton of money. Obviously, you're kind of banking on the fact that Ramy's going to be able to bring the cash in, so to speak, to support his salary and Dennis's and all the other guys you signed on for that deal. It's got to be a little nerve-wracking a little bit, right? When you take a risk like that. I remember when BSN paid big Ronnie Coleman, right? Remember, wasn't that the first big contract, John? Coleman got
$200,000 or something like that. Yeah.
I think he got like $500,000 or something like that from them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So how big is this deal, Tony, altogether with Dennis and Big Ramy, and how long and for how many hundreds of thousands of dollars is it?
Yeah, it's a 3-year contract. I'm not allowed to say the exact number, but it's a really high number. It's what you would expect. And, Chris is right that the amount of money is the first consideration in who a top level athlete gets sponsored by. But it's not the only consideration because he had multiple companies offering him the same amount.
Wow. Cool.
I think he went with, I think Dennis James had a huge influence in it because Dennis James, Dennis James likes what Enhanced stands for and sees the opportunity to grow within the company. And a lot of these other companies are already internationally established in these other countries, but Enhanced has the opportunity to grow with them and they'll make more money in the back end. So if it comes down just to money, it's not just the money they get up front with the contract. It's how much money they can get over the length of the contract. In this case, 3 years on the back end by helping expansion into these other countries that we didn't have access to before.
So are they getting a percentage of the company, or what's they have skin in the game? Is there incentive beyond their paycheck?
The incentive is through expansion into those other countries. They can make money off of.
That's smart.
That's cool. Yeah, that's great.
That's smart. And I'm sure Dennis was absolutely trying to convince Rami to do it because he got the deal with Rami. So I mean, that would definitely make sense for Dennis to want to be on board with that.
Sure.
Now, it's funny, John. Someone posted a comment. Blackman is going to put Rami on the cover and make him a star. He already did. Look, watch this. You're gonna shit your pants. Watch this. Read the headline, John. Mass freaks are back. I can't make that out.
Dave, I was going to say, I was going to say you guys can make it through a show and not talk about black men.
We were going. I
know that. But the minute you said that's a definitely Steve little catchphrase. Mass freaks are back.
But it's worse for Dave and me because we've been in that room.
I know.
We've been in that room where he comes up with this shit.
Yeah. Tony, has he hit you up yet for advertising dollars?
No.
Oh, he will.
He will. Yeah.
But the other side of the equation is that you guys and everybody's like, why did Rami go with enhanced, right? But what about me? Why did I go with Rami?
Well, you said it before. He's Mr. Olympia. How could you go wrong with that? Right? And he's the biggest guy on the planet right now.
Yeah, but there's another couple elements to it, and one of the main is that Rami is a really nice guy. I've met him multiple times, and I just really love talking to him and being around him, and I get a good feeling about him. And I don't want to deal with someone I don't like or that I think is going to make me look bad because they're a jerk. And I think I'm known as being a pretty nice guy, and I want to affiliate myself with nice guys. That's a big element for me.
So give us the name of one of your supplements that Rami will be the corner piece of promoting. Do you have any extreme names, or are you going?
Well, we're going to come out with some products specially formulated to what he likes and promote to his fan base. So, for example, we have the Rage pre-workout, and we're going to reformulate and rebrand that into Big Rami's Rage.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, it sounds kind of cheesy, but he's excited about it, and I think the fans will be.
You got to bring in Blackman to come up with a little.
Because come up with a better one than that.
No, because could he not, John? Could he not? I mean, I hate making fun of him. Dave knows that, but he's good at those little snippet titles. Right?
Maybe super intense hardcore.
Yeah, what was that product? That super pump thing he was going to come out with?
Oh, with Lee Priest on the.
Yeah, what was the name of the thing he was going to come out with?
Shit, what was the name of that?
Super freaky pump.
Radical pump freak something shit. That was train like a freak. No, that was you. That was what was his super?
Someone said, "Yeah, this is a good one." Rami lies. That was it. Be with species. I have to do Rami lies. Holy shit! Can't make this stuff up.
So he's going to be basically promoting a mainstream supplement line to his fan base, basically.
Yeah.
Mainstream supplement line to bodybuilders.
Not like these things that I have.
John, what do you have? What is that product that you
it's
have?
DNP. It's DNP. Hold on. Someone said that Fuad's pissed off about Rami signing with Tony. I don't know why he would be. I mean, look, I don't care. Like Chris said, it's all about earning a living in this industry. If Tony's willing to put up money and give Rami opportunities to make money beyond even what his contract is, I say you're doing a great thing. You know what the funny thing is?
The question is, why is he pissed?
I don't know.
I think. I think it's obvious. I think the reason why is because of I don't know, you want to call it nefarious or less than wholesome image that maybe Tony Huge has been kind of sort of a little bit responsible for, maybe. And he sees that as, maybe Remy could have done better kind of attitude, I think. So I think that's really short-sighted, really, because I also think it has to do a lot with people associate everything that we talk about with being in America, and absolutely none of what Tony's doing is in America. So, I mean, Big Ramy's in Egypt, you're in Thailand, where, and none of this is machinating in the United States, absolutely zero of it, except for maybe some Ramy fans, but his fan base is more global than it is US. So I think that eliminates, I mean, if you're going to be short-sighted at all, that completely blurs it, because there's none of that.
It doesn't, John. It doesn't. It doesn't blur the nefariousness of. I mean, the elephant in the room is the nefariousness of it.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's why I asked. I asked a legitimate question. Was he? Why? Because I didn't know. Was he thinking, oh, that's bad for Ramy's reputation, or did he make an offer to Ramy too? He has a supplement company.
No, I'm thinking it's his reputation that he's.
Who are the supplement companies, Tony, that you were in competition with?
You said who are the supplement companies?
Who are the supplement companies that you were in competition with?
In terms of offering Ramy a contract, you mean, Chris?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can't say. But I'll say one other element of this is that I don't know all the people who are around Ramy and who influence Ramy, but every time I've been around Ramy, I've had such a really warm response from all the group that is around him. So yes, you have the mainstream who thinks that me teaching people about chemistry and bodybuilding and shortcuts is a negative thing, that it's drugs and it's this alternative lifestyle that's unsavory. But then you have people that really appreciate the transparency and the education and the mindset and change of perspective. And I got the feeling from anytime I'm around Ramy and the people around him that I get that really positive feedback, that positive vibe. And there's times like at Oxygen Gym. I'm training at Oxygen Gym, and Big Ramy's over there, and they want me to come over and say hi to Big Ramy and take pictures with Big Ramy. And that's all like the people that know both of us asking us to do that. And then at the 2 Olympias ago, I was with Big Ramy in the booth, in one of his sponsors' booths, and they actually had me walking next to Big Ramy in the entrance. So I walked Big Ramy in to the booth with the whole Egyptian setup and the chariot, all these things. Yeah. And then I was actually next to Big Ramy in the booth while he was doing the photo op and all that. So I always, long before this ever came about, Big Ramy and I had a good relationship. I mean, there's a huge language barrier, right? We never had any kind of deep conversations, only friendly and all that. But I just get the impression that all the people around Ramy really respect what I do. So, there's 2 different ways to look at what I do. There's a way to respect what I do, and there's a way that says like, okay, what Tony Huge does is dangerous and it's negative and he needs to be censored. And I just get the feeling that maybe in the Middle East in general, or at least in the groups that Big Ramy rolls in, it's more of a positive view of what I do.
Well, you know what the problem is, Tony? In the U.S., you're a criminal. In Egypt, like or in Dubai or Kuwait, it's like you could buy this in the 7-Eleven down the block, So what you're doing is not really illegal. So they don't even understand why we're so uptight about it here. I think that's really
that's what I was alluding. That's what I was alluding to. Is that take the Americanized element out of this, and what's going on in the rest of the world is fine.
Yeah, but you can't take it. You can't be nice, but you can't take it out of it.
No, I don't mean everything, Chris. I mean specifically, the realm in which Tony has gained a lot of notoriety, or is looked at within U.S. confines as nefarious, and with the rest of the world, it's just part of the deal. So I can totally see the difference if you blur the boundaries of the borders. So with that in mind, I think it's very clear that I experienced this in Mexico. In Mexico, nobody gives a shit about steroids. It's like normal. Right. It's like house guys do them. It's like when you get a trainer, you get a cycle. It's normal. This is part of the deal. So, but in America, oh my God, you go to prison for that shit. So culturally, there's this tremendous difference, and I think the way it's perceived is, paramount to how it looks.
Chris, you know Jay very well, Jay Cutler, obviously.
No.
He already knew the question.
Without any of
ask the question.
I was going to say, would Jay, if he was offered a lot of money by Tony during the prime of his career, would he have taken a contract with him?
I was like the Swami on the.
You just know how my brain works. That's why you know my question.
No, he would not.
Would Phil?
I don't know Phil.
Yeah, you know him pretty well.
I think right there you're knocking on the American element door again. Of course,
yeah. The Mr. Olympia is an American title, really. It's not. It's not like a British or a Indian and Thailand competition.
Well, then technically, it's a Canadian title. If you want to be technical about it,
that's right, Ben Weider.
It's not a Canadian show. It's actually the guy who owns it is not Canadian.
Not anymore.
And really, the entire feeder system for it is not Canadian.
Right. True.
So
true.
Yeah, it's great that
you can't nuance it out, John, and say like, well, it's okay in Thailand because and in Egypt and in Tijuana, it's not a big deal. I mean, there's the element. If you want to be serious, there's an element of it of I can play both sides. Remy deserves $1 million a year. So if Tony didn't give him $1 million. Remy but
shorting him.
Yeah.
Because he deserves every Mr. Olympia, especially people like Remy who have hung on, the ones who took 8 years, actually took Coleman forever. Took a lot of people that didn't win it the first time out.
Right.
Mr. Olympias, and even the runner-up in the third place and fifth place deserve great contracts. But you have to consider, Tony, who said there's a division between the nefarious and the mainstream. If Tony, if the fact is, if Tony gets income from the nefarious side, the mainstream side, it's all the same. It's like me saying, you know what, I have real estate, but I also have a Coke dealership, a cocaine dealership on the side. And
your cocaine dealership
I'm stretching things a little bit, but to illuminate the point is, how'd your, what was your income from your real estate? Well, we, after all is said and done, we make 7% income on all the money we collect on a monthly basis. What do you do on the Coke business? So we have a 99% markup. What do you do in advertising for the real estate business? We do $100,000 a month in ads. What do you do for, the Coke business? They just line up. Customers knock at our door.
Yeah, but the Coke business is in Peru where it's legal, and the customers are in Central America. I don't think you can. The question Dave asked was, would Jay have it pointed in the height of his career? When Jay was at the height of his career, it was the Weider organization, or was it Pecker at that point? I think it was both, right? So, what Tony does in countries he's doing it is not illegal. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing it. Otherwise, you couldn't be doing it for very long.
I wasn't
why he's doing it where he's doing it.
I wasn't making a legality issue. We weren't asking if.
I was asking.
It's not illegal. It's not illegal for Jay to take a contract from someone who's or Remy that's in a supplement business. There's just that odd, the quote other, the outlier.
Let me ask this, Chris. Tony, do you feel like you want to move away from the cutting edge, like more of the gray market, maybe not so legal supplements, and move more legitimate, or are you still going to keep both, at full blast, so to speak?
Every time I think, okay, I'm just going to go mainstream, because from a business perspective, it would be better to just go mainstream. Risk versus benefit says go mainstream. Mm-hmm. But I would be so bored. I have to have that hardcore edge. Keeps me excited, keeps me experimental, keeps me on my.
Can't you experiment on your own, but yet still not sell the stuff? That's a little more controversial.
Yeah, but there's.
Well, the point is he's still educating people about the.
But that's Duchesne 101. If you're going to educate the people and you supply them too,
right? But Duchesne went to jail twice for that. Luckily, Tony's a lawyer and he's smarter than that. But
which is why he's in Thailand.
Exactly.
Perfect sense to me.
I mean, my favorite part of this is that we're all, people I talk to, we're all using the same things. We're experimenting with these things and reporting to each other. And it's the same sort of underground bulletin board service type bodybuilding, only we're experimenting with the same compounds. We have standardized quality, so yeah, it's hard to give up that. It's a research. It's like when you discover something that it works and it's an amazing feeling. You build a lot of muscle really fast, and then you want to know if other people experience the same thing or you had a side effect. And yeah, it's not just business and the gray area. It's part of this community and learning that it's hard to give up.
Well, Tony, the triple hypocrisy of it, of course, is that, I on one side I say, Remy deserves all the money, but there's this nefarious elephant in the room. But the flip side is,
we're not talking about you, Lee, as the nefarious elephant. Sorry.
Is that everyone in the sport has to do some of the things that you talk about in your videos. So, right? You know what I mean? And there's people in the Olympia, I'm sure, people who tune into your videos, they might not follow things, A to Z, but the information is there, and they may listen to it to be able to incorporate it into what they're doing, anyway. So, there's lots of angles to look at it, in terms of.
Say it, Chris. Say it.
He already said
it.
He already said it. You missed it.
He said it.
What's up, Lee Priest?
Not much. How you going, Tony?
All right, Lee.
I love you. I think you're a fucking wanker, but I love you.
Lee will take half of whatever Ramy is getting, right, Lee?
I'll take half of whatever he's taking in his left leg.
That's right. And whatever you sign, if you sign Lee, you got to sign John Romano to their package deal, like Dennis James and Ramy,
yeah.
right?
Because I'm coming. I know Tony's into the lady boys and that with all this transgender shit. I'm coming back for Miss Olympia. I'm coming back for Miss Olympia next year. So Tony's going to be my coach, and he's going to train the first transgender Miss Olympia. I got to get on a bit. I got to get on a bit more gear though, because I've seen some of those clitorius. They're bigger than my penis.
Yeah. Oh, you got it. Here's your research assignment, fellas. Look, FTM, female turned male porn, and it's women. Take testosterone.
I've always wondered how
it gets really big, and they actually have sex with other women with that.
Oh, I thought it doesn't. I thought it only gets to a certain size, because I thought that was the complaint. They don't have a penis, a replacement penis yet.
Not like that. It's enough to penetrate. It's enough to really, weird. Yeah, you're gonna have nightmares.
That explains it. That's what. All these years I've been wondering. That explains it. That's what Sean Ray had done. I knew it.
So you
Back
don't
in a
think he's a
minute.
real?
Hold on.
He's not a real boy then. He's a girl.
With the
So,
socks.
hold on.
Oh, he's got the. Oh no, he's gonna pull out the.
It's good.
I know what he's pulling out. I know.
Here goes the monetization for this.
No.
You never get this show monetized.
For some reason, I think the people who watch the show and review it, I think they like Heavy Muscle Radio. We usually don't get demonetized. It's the Iron Rage show that always gets demonetized.
Oh,
And after hours, because those guys can't. We can't stop cursing on that show. Here he is. Hold on. Let's give him his debut. See, that's why I like having Tony on, because Tony can sign Big Rammy, but he can also talk smack and shop with us, So.
Which is what we like.
Yeah, I think Lee is changing race right now. Is that I got that kind of?
I heard
it's the racket that's working.
People ask about my cancer surgeon. I
heard
can't get the
people
cancer
are
right
talking.
now.
He's talking shit about me. This is Sean Ray. He's talking shit about me on here. Did I tell you about the time I got second at Olympia? I beat everybody. I know I'm looking a bit old. They're not paying me too well to do the Olympia coverage. What are you laughing at? I'm Sean Ray. Not goddamn it. What are you talking about? I beat everybody. Fifth, 212. Nobody stacks up to me.
Oh my God.
What are you talking about? Huh?
I'm trying to think who he looks like. He looks like Colonel Sanders a little bit, doesn't he?
Tony, sign me. Sean Ray, look at me.
Yeah.
I know I look like a bag of shit, but come on, sign me.
You think C.T. Fletcher is like...
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
John, you're being racist. You saying we all look alike? That's very racist. I do not like that comment.
Someone called him. Yeah, someone called you a racist in the.
Who, me again?
Lead the racist.
Oh yeah. Did they get upset with white chicks? Did they get upset with White Chicks the movie? Shut the fuck up.
No one has a sense of humor anymore. That's the problem.
No.
Okay, Sean. Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lee, what do you think?
Huh?
What do you think about Big Rammy signing with Dr. Tony Huge?
Hey, if money's there, take it.
I forgot who said. I think it was Walt Whitman. It might have been another writer who famously one day said, "It's not about the money; it's about the money."
Well, it's like I said, Tony and I don't see eye to eye because I'm still a hard believer in training hard. Tony is always looking for the shortcuts, but the thing I've noticed over the years, though, Tony's always straightforward and honest, and I'm pretty sure that his products are pretty good and stuff. He wouldn't sell shit because people would like to call him out on that, but Hey, actually, I think I found something of yours, Tony. I just got back from visiting a mate of mine. And this is funny how John's got the shirt on and John mentioned something. I think this is your logo. Hold on. I'll be back again.
Lee is like a barrel of monkeys today. Who wants to talk about cancer when you can talk about this crap, right?
I know, right?
Look at this. I visited my friend the other day. He goes, Lee, I got these. And I think that logo looks familiar. Look at this.
You got some too.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Actually, that is not me. That is not us. That is.
Oh, it's not.
No, that's someone who
ripped you off.
Authorization is using a spin-off of the logo. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Sue them.
Are you suing them? Sue them.
What about this?
What is that?
Enhanced Chemicals was legit.
Hold on, let me hold this up. Hold on. That's yours, Tony?
Enhanced Chemicals was legit. Yeah.
Okay. And what is in that, John?
You don't need to say what that is.
Which one of them is Rami using? Which one
is it worse than that? Oh my god!
Those bottles John had. Which one is Rami using for the Olympia prep?
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask next.
Yeah. A lot of those. That was from a long time ago.
Yes, it was.
But at that time, we were making a lot of high level competitors were using some of that stuff. That was the heyday. That was amazing. Yeah. We had to back off a little bit and be more careful when the government started getting involved.
Gotcha. When are you going back to the Philippines? They want to know, Tony.
Yeah, I'm not leaving Thailand because if I come back into Thailand, I need to do a 2-week quarantine.
Oh, with the whole COVID thing.
I will start traveling. Yeah. Once the borders are open like normal, then I'll start traveling a lot. I've got to go to India and Egypt and London and Philippines and Vietnam. So it'll be a lot of traveling when it opens up.
Gotcha.
How's the food there?
Thailand is known for having some of the best food in the world because there's just a huge variety. It's really cheap. There's lots of variety. And it's pretty good, healthy, quality, convenient. Yeah, it's amazing. I mean,
like when you
some of the best food in the world too, but I'd say Thailand.
Do you think Lee's a racist, Tony?
Well, the whole thing about racism is, there's one element of racism, a negative thing, like saying, okay, I'm this race, so I'm better than everybody else, and my life is worth more than theirs. So that's real negative racism. But then there's stereotyping, which your subconscious mind can't help not to do. Of course, you see someone that looks different and you stereotype them because you need to, for survival purposes, assess what the threat or benefit of this person is to you. And I have that. I stereotype very strongly. And I think Lee Priest does that too. I think he stereotypes people strongly as well. And that's not a drawback. That's an evolutionary benefit.
And people get stereotyped for a reason because we all happen to, or the groups of people happen to do a certain thing. So it's like,
that's right.
Stereotypes aren't a bad thing. So why do people get upset by it?
Right. Actually,
everybody's lost their sense of humor. You look back at the 70s and the 80s, and if you had TV shows today, like we had back then, All in the Family, the Jeffersons, the Sanford and Son. Yeah. I mean, the networks get crucified today.
Do you know? I was watching Aladdin with my kids. Aladdin, the Disney movie, and they have, before the movie comes on, they have a notice pop up on the screen that they don't condone the racism in the movie, and that it would never be made today, but this is historical, and Disney doesn't endorse what wasn't done right. It's like they had to like apologize for showing the movie.
Beyond the abject ridiculousness of all of this, and how much lower it makes the collective IQ of the whole thing seem. The other element to it is it does a lot of damage because the true essence of racism is terrible, and it should be dealt with. But when you dilute it with this fucking nonsense, that it dilutes the power of what the real problem is, because everybody looks at it like, this stupid shit with Aladdin, So it does a lot more harm to the cause than the good they think these left wingers are doing. But it's terrible because real racism is a bad thing, but you completely dilute it by shit like disclaimers for an Aladdin cartoon.
Yeah,
you're diluting it. What's that mean?
It means that you're diluting the impact of when you have a real racial issue. You
still have real racial issues, John.
What's that?
I don't think a little disclaimer before a cartoon dilutes real racial issues.
I think the cumulative ideology that produces such idiotic bullshit is endemic to the problem, and I think it definitely does, because when you have racial issues that affect people, that seriously affect people occupationally, socially, within their religious beliefs, all of that. When you have it affecting that, and then you're gonna analogize it to a disclaimer to a cartoon and saying, well, the disclaimer to the cartoon is part and parcel to the whole racial element. That's bullshit.
That's not what it says, and that's ridiculous, dude. That's like saying like we can't deal with real racial issues because I saw a cartoon with
it's the opposite. Exact opposite. It's the exact opposite, Chris.
You lost me, or you're living in a bubble or a dream world and don't experience racism ever.
No, I think he means that like when you start getting you start like overanalyzing everything that happens everywhere and saying that's racist, then people almost like get sick of the whole thing.
That's up to you to overanalyze it, Dave. I mean, if you want to get stuck in the baby minutia of like a cartoon,
right? But don't you think it's annoying, like when you start seeing that they have to apologize for doing a cartoon? They made fun of some guys who were selling,
don't equate it with like hardcore racism. That's your problem.
When you have to change the name of a black and white cookie to a multicolored cookie, what a fucking problem. Okay, fucking problem. And there's no amount of bullshit mumbo jumbo that is going to make a black and white cookie a fucking racist issue.
Well,
okay?
it doesn't.
Cookie, a multicolored cookie, because you're going to offend some fucking moron is part and parcel to the problem.
Well, it may offend you. It sounds like it offends you. It's offending you.
I don't give a fuck if it offends me. I don't give a fuck if it offends you.
It obviously has offended you because you've already lost your
fucking black and white cookie. The China virus.
The cookie is set you so far off.
And that's what they are.
That you can't. A hardcore racial issue. You may fall back on the cookie rather than the racial issue. That's what it sounds like.
I think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying that it becomes like you start equating the two as being equal.
Well, you're smart enough not to equate the two. Aren't you smart enough to equate
I am, but there are other people that are dumb that don't that can't.
And that stupidity dilutes the impact of what the real racial issues are.
Maybe they're the same people who think that politicians, are in a QAnon sex ring with Jeffrey Epstein. That's the same level of intelligence. So I don't have to worry about them because I don't have to deal with them on a daily basis. Thank God.
And they're all in the same boat, changing the names of cookies because of fear of offending people.
Lee, you know what? On another note, let's change the subject for a second. Lee, I know you have a really big problem with the experiment that Tony Hughes did, the 1 week experiment where Kenny KO gained 20 pounds. You want to address that big elephant in the room? No offense.
I think we addressed that
elephant lover.
Well, now you're fat shaming, Dave. I have to put a disclaimer up before this comes out.
I remember.
I already discussed that with Tony at the beach at Venice Beach. I saw Tony and said 2 weeks, 20 pound of muscle. He's like, well, no, his muscle filled out with water and that. And I said, exactly. So it wasn't like he added 20 pound of new muscle. It was like the muscle he had sort of filled out and grew. So it was still the same muscle. He didn't gain new muscle. And I said, it's like I have a penis. There's a vagina. If I stick my penis in the vagina, my penis doesn't suddenly become a vagina. It's still just a penis in a vagina. His muscle just filled out.
And then I said muscle is part water. Water in the muscle is muscle. And then
Kenny's KO was more water than muscle. I was on Team Zeke anyway. Team Zeke all the way. Poor Zeke, he couldn't train with his shoulders.
Remember those Muscle Tech ads where what was the guy, Tim Gardner, and he gained 30 pounds of muscle and lost 40 pounds of fat in 19 days or something.
But Tim,
he made $1 billion from those ads, John. Yeah.
Each are like 11 pages long each. Remember? I know. You're going through
I know what it is. Tim Gardner. I know what it is. I've just worked out the connection. Tim Gardner and Tony Hughes.
It was Paul Gardner anyway.
Paul Gardner. Right? I know what it was. Paul Gardner and Tony Hughes. I see the connection, how you gained the muscle. They both wore lab coats. If you wear a lab coat, you gain the muscle.
There you go. That must be it.
So we
The
still
lab
do
coat.
these transformations. I do them here in Thailand on someone when they're willing, and yeah, we put on a lot of muscle on them in a very short period of time.
I'll tell you what. I like the fact that you do some of these crazy experiments. Although I don't necessarily condone them, but I think that they're interesting just to see how people's bodies respond. But some people have terrible genetics.
Has anyone ever died?
Never died.
Not yet.
Well, they haven't lived to talk about it.
Yeah. All right. I want to change.
I've heard of the circle jerk, but I never heard of the circle injection before. But I like that when Tony was injecting one person, that person was injecting the other person who was injecting the other person.
It was a daisy
in a strange in a strange way. I got aroused by watching that.
That's right. All right, let me switch gears for a second. I want to bring up another topic. I don't know if any of you guys have been watching this guy by the name of Julius Maddox. Have you seen him?
The bench guy. Is that the guy that bench?
Yeah, he's not only is a bench guy, he's a raw bencher. He just broke the world record again in the raw bench, 780.
So he doesn't. So he doesn't wear a condom when he's benching. Okay.
Right. Did I just screw this up? Oh, I see.
Goes in raw.
I mean, is this guy? This guy might be the strongest guy of all time. I respect the crazy bench presses where they're doing like 1,000 something crazy amount of weight, but those are all equipped benching. This guy is, Jimmy the Bull, basically.
Jimmy the Bull would bench that in a tank top.
Right, but I'm just saying. I mean, we never seen him do an official bench like this. This guy is seriously strong. I mean, I find this very impressive. Do you guys find it as impressive as I do? I mean, you've bench pressed before. 782.
I find it impressive, but then I still just think that one little and the whole pec just it's like.
Oh, I mean that's the way it is for everyone. You go to the gym, you're only one tear away from destroying your body.
But I think he's closer to most doing that type of weight when you get to that level.
But I mean, I've never seen a human being. I mean, we've seen some good benchers over the years, but this guy is the best. I mean, I can't
believe that'd be a legal bench with no mask.
Yeah.
There you go.
None of them have.
Chris, what do you think? I mean, you've seen some strong guys over the years, Chris.
It's like a joke. It's like easy. You should sign him.
Right? He looks like he can do more than that, a lot more.
Chris, that pause on his stern right there.
Look at that. He paused it like it was like 225 on his chest, right?
Crazy.
I like how the one spotter has a mask. The one spotter has a mask on now.
Yeah, the one. Yeah, my God.
No one else does.
What's he gonna do with his one hand?
Yeah, I gotta tell you,
the guy in the blue top looks a bit when he stands back. If you just look quickly as he's standing back, he looks a bit like Milos standing behind him.
Pelletier was brute strength like that, man. He would bench raw all the way up to like 800 pounds.
You know what? But Jimmy never really said it was an official. Like Jimmy just did it for demonstration. So he might not have done a full range. He might not have touched his chest all the time. Although with 800 pounds, you pretty much have to touch.
Well, Pelletier's style was terrible for him, but he wouldn't go all the way down. But I mean, still, you break your elbows and bring 800 pounds down. That's respectable. And Pelletier was freaking shredded too.
Yeah, no. And this guy probably outweighed Jimmy by double. He looks like he's about 380 pounds. This guy, but like I said, there's very few people who truly impressed me. Julius Maddox is definitely very impressive.
Extremely impressive.
Yeah, and I mean it's crazy. So
there's a couple things about Ramey's training that I'd be curious to hear what you guys think about.
Sure.
So one is like the amount of volume that he does. The other is, let's talk about this first. Before this competition, he was doing some really high repetition work on some areas he needed to tighten up. and Dennis made the statement that, or was alluding to the local fat burning effect of doing high repetitions for certain areas, like right on the delts and things like that. Do you guys think that if you do really high reps and high volume on a muscle where there's a little bit of fat, that you can actually burn a little bit more of that local fat over that area?
How much oil are you injecting in there to begin with?
I don't think so. I think me, when I used to get ready for contests, I kept my training low reps, heavy as I could, and just used the cardio and that for burning the body fat, to getting the definition out, not actually pumping the muscle. I find, well, people what I've seen to do that seem to get more of a stringier look and look sort of flatter and stringier. The guys who seem to still pound as heavy as they can and use the cardio or other things to burn fat came in looking fuller and harder type thing. So no, I wouldn't me personally, I wouldn't do higher reps just to burn body fat in that area, because that's almost like you're trying to fat reduce or something in one spot, whereas I don't think that generally works too well, unless, like John said, you got some substance you're injecting into that area to help burn up the body fat.
I personally, I think it's it's like carving we're going to carve the detail in there type of thing with these special exercises. You burn body fat by doing cardio and dieting. I mean, that's how the fat comes off. I mean, you suffer. I mean, you can't do exercises to spot reduce fat. I don't know any science that would say that's the case. Chris, I mean, you want to add anything to that? I just,
I would agree. That Lee has the same philosophy as me, but it's a philosophy, and I don't know if it's a science. Because sometimes I wonder, right? If you're lean and you're trying to, go to the next step and get a little bit leaner. You tell me, Dave. You have a background that's far greater than me. You're working your abs and you're working with high reps. Where does the fatty acids come from? When you're in a depleted state, that they don't come from your hamstrings.
Well, they come from the bloodstream usually.
Yeah, the bloodstream, but where are they being? Yeah, I mean,
they liberate. From what I understand,
where is the mitochondria? I know systemically, yes, but it's like a heating system. I mean, you can have different thermostat. I mean, it's a weak comparison, but it's a comparison to you have a 14-room house. And you have one furnace, heating that house. But if you have thermostats in each room and you turn one up to 90, you are calling directly in that local area. I mean, right. Yes, it's the bloodstream, but where is the fuel being liberated from? I mean, I don't know.
I heard Chris mention mitochondria. Hold on one second. Expert. Yeah, Mr. Blackman, they're talking about fucking mitochondria again. What's that? Hold on. The latest AMA journal. The latest AMA journal says, what's it say in the latest one? If you just do lots of reps, train hard, diet, push the heavy weights, it's been proven. The mitochondria and the myostatins. Okay, Steve, thank you. Yeah, Steve agrees. It's just the heavy training, cardio, and eating clean.
It's been shown that the mitochondria will call upon the stored body fat, and according to the journal, the liberated fatty acids will be oxidized for fuel. And
exactly.
If you shiver, you got to shiver. You shiver. You put a cold pack on there. If you shiver it away, you'll burn the fat locally. That's the deal.
But maybe we are the temperature thing. I mean, for Chris, you're saying that the thermostats, like if you're creating more heat, I mean, I think some of the limiting factors in releasing body fat is blood flow and temperature in the fat cells. Maybe training that area with higher reps and more volume is causing just more temperature increase, which then helps the fat release in that area.
You know, there's an interesting study. I don't want to sound like Blackman here, but there's an interesting, study that I did read, and that some of the guys who were involved in the production of what the hell is that? Is that your cat? Your kitty cat?
My cat. Oh.
No, but the guys who were involved with with synthol, the original synthol production, Chris Clark, and there was some studies done in Europe on it, and they showed that when you injected oil, with glycoproteins in it and medium chain fats into a muscle group, it was like almost like hyper feeding this muscle, and the muscle cells were releasing lipoprotein lipase, which is the enzyme that breaks down these fatty acids, and then taking up the fatty acids directly into the cells locally. And it was creating this like positive nutrient partitioning effect where it was actually causing them to burn more fat locally. Like, so in other words, you're giving fats into the area, the cells are using the fats for fuel, amping up their metabolism, and thus the areas were actually getting leaner where they were doing this, which is, you would think, all right, you're putting fats in here, why would they get leaner if they're using those fats? But just because it was amping the metabolism in that area. Now that was through an injection of something. So I don't know if actually training an area would do the same thing.
I remember in the old days, bodybuilders would actually try and get like the flu or a fever a week or two out from a show, so their body temperature, when you got a fever and your fever.
That?
People here in Australia, there's some idiots down here, Dave, not me, but people. Look, I see you, Tony. I know you're in Thailand. Every time my cat meows, you're licking your bloody lips, aren't you? They're not for eating, Tony. They're my pets. They're my pets, Tony. You can't eat these ones. I know what you eat in Thailand over there.
Weird stuff here.
So there's going to be a certain amount of fatty.
Don't get COVID. You'll burn more fat, right, Lee?
Exactly. Well, they used to, if you got a fever, the body temperature would raise up. I guess it's like a natural DNP because your body temperature.
I was going to say you might as well take DNP at that point. Yeah, right.
Well, see,
it might be a bit safer.
I think there's an element of marbled fat in the muscle versus the subcutaneous fat that you're trying to get rid of.
Yeah.
I think it would be great if we could hang on to the marbled fat, but that seems to go more rapidly when you're doing that high volume, high repetition, focused workout. If that body part is predisposed to that type of intramuscular fat.
Sure.
I think the subcutaneous fat, which is more relevant to the cause, is a systemic fatty acid liberation, lipolysis issue.
So Lee is pretty anti all the cutting edge chemistry stuff and stick to the basics. The basics worked before; it should still work now. But Lee,
I'm an old dinosaur.
All right, dinosaur Lee, is there some compound that you think is more cutting edge that caught your interest, or that you think that is worth some attention?
Yeah, the one that destroyed Boston Lloyd's kidneys. He's looking into using that.
No, see, I think that the craziest thing I ever did, like fat burning wise, was clenbuterol when I used to get ready for shows. And then I never really liked the feeling of that heart pounding and shit. Because, when Paul lived with me, Paul loved more clen than doing cardio. I still did a bit of cardio and took clen. I'd come home and Paul would be sitting on the couch just sweating his fucking ass off from all the clen. And then some days, I remember, because he used to have the clen tabs and then it went to a liquid, then you could get a gel. And with the gel, it was always harder to guess how much you'd have. And sometimes if I took too much, I'd be sitting there saying to Paul, who the fuck's playing the drums? And I'd sit there and I'm like, well, fuck, that's my heart. Boom, 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 boom. fucking my heart. I could hear it just boom, 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 boom. I'm like, the neighbors are loud on the drums. But no, I never. Clen was probably the craziest thing. But then, because I was with Twin Lab, I was always drinking the liquid creatine and stuff like that all the time.
First to market. First to market.
Drip fuel. That was
first to market.
Here's one for you, Tony, because Dave might want a percentage, but now you've signed Rami. Panic Protein. It's going to be a great seller. You take it before contests. Panic, or you can get one called Panic Pump. Anything with panic in it with Rami, Dave wants a cut of it, okay?
I don't actually. I got to give Chris Aceto the credit for that one.
Yeah, I'll have to get a residual on that.
Yeah.
Chris wants a
Panic Pump. You take it before your workouts. Yeah, it'd be great. Great marketing.
I like that name. That could be a winner.
Yeah, now, Tony, this is a legitimate question. Like, you got Rami under contract now, okay? Obviously, that's a huge score for you. First of all, congratulations. We've been saying this. A lot of people weren't following. The original conversation was we had Tony here because he signed Big Ramy and Dennis James to his new enhanced nutrition supplement company. Now, being the very liberal thinking, boss that you are, I mean, is there any restrictions on Ramy? Like, some companies have like certain protocols in their contract. If you do this and embarrass us, we can release you. Can Ramy pretty much do whatever he wants, as far as you're concerned?
Yes. No, I mean, what I want is everybody who's affiliated with me to be able to speak freely. I mean, his only limitation in speaking freely is his desire to maintain a mainstream image for future sponsorships. Because after these, we have him for 3 years. So after the 3 years, or whenever after, he's still going to want to have an image that he can still sell to the mainstream also. I think I give him the best of both worlds. I think he gets that because legally and on the image, he's associated only with the mainstream United States-based supplement company. But then all of us talking here and the people listening to this are not the typical customer, actually. We are the more people that understand the chemistry of the sport and all that. So we're going to understand that what's going on behind the scenes is going to be more than just what's in the mainstream. So I was reading both of those.
I was reading some of these comments here, like, why would you sign with Tony? Tony's in the gear and that. Hello, people. Did these people, what about Hani Rambot? He was never in the gear. PJ Braun, he was never in the gear. Aaron Singerman, they've all got companies now, never in the gear. So get off Tony's fucking back. All these people that have supplement companies have been in the fucking gear and sold steroids. Just shut the fuck up. How's Tony any different to Aaron Singerman or PJ Braun or anyone else? At least Tony's fucking honest.
Or Dave Palumbo.
Or Dan Duchesne. At least Tony's up front. These other fuckers wear a suit and tie and try and hide and act all prim and proper.
Yeah. I got news for you. A lot of the supplement company owners.
I got your back, Tony. I got your back.
No, but on that same note, a lot of the supplement company owners from the 90s, right, John, had been steroid dealers or had done time in jail, and they got out and they legitimized themselves.
Or ecstasy dealers.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
legitimized.
Some really big companies, right?
Some huge companies. Yeah.
When you say legitimize, you mean they just learn how to hide it better, Dave. That's what you mean. Selling legal supplements. They use the acumen that they learned from selling drugs.
Right. They found the drug that they could sell legally. That's all.
That's right.
They sell it the same way. It's
a lot better. You don't have to look over your shoulder. That's for sure.
Well, you still do, but at different people.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's like diversifying investments, right? You have the higher risk portfolio, and then you have the
it's like the mob guys. They make money off numbers and extortion and loan sharking, and then they put that money to legitimate businesses like
gas stations
car washes.
But the other old business is always still there in the background. Someone else is just running it.
Well, that's where they go wrong. They should get out of that business. They can't get out of it because once you get in, you can't get out, John, right?
Oh no! What happens is that the legit business ends up washing the money for the dirty business, and then
well, they get greedy though. They don't even need the illegitimate.
Exactly. There's no, but like Tony said in the beginning, that gets boring if you do everything legit.
It's also boring is sometimes good when you get older.
I don't know.
And you have kids.
I'd rather be the most interesting man in the world.
I'd rather be the most boring. That's and be successful. I got all that itch out of my pocket already. I don't need that itch. Speaking of which, a lot of people have been asking me about the whole thyroid cancer thing, and I figure I might as well address it with all you guys here, even though I kind of did a separate video on it. I went to see the thyroid surgeon. And for those of you who haven't followed me, I went on for a routine like heart scan, ultrasound, and they found a little nodule on my thyroid. No one ever even said anything about it. I saw it myself on the test. I asked my friend who was the cardiologist, can he send me for an ultrasound? I figured I might as well follow up. I got this cancer in my family. It turns out it looked highly suspicious. I went to my friend who I grew up with as a child, my friend Lenny Thaler. He's an endocrinologist in Miami. He biopsied it, came back papillary cancer. Lucky me. I found out on my birthday, my 53rd birthday. That was the phone call I got from him. I said, Lenny, we haven't talked on the phone for 10 years. I said, the first call we make, it has to be that I have cancer. God. He's like, I know. I didn't want to even make the phone call. No. So he hooked me up with a surgeon friend of his in Hollywood, Florida, your old stomping grounds, John. And I went to see him this past Friday, and he said that, more than likely it's going to have to come out. The question is whether it's going to be the whole gland or one lobe. To make a long story short, the very small nodule I have that has no spread, they checked my lymph nodes with the ultrasound. It seems like everything's clear. The one nodule I do have in there is a little close to the trachea. And so when it's kind of very close to the border there, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll want to give you what's called radioactive iodine, which will, once they remove the gland or a part of the gland, they'll give you the iodine, which will destroy any thyroid glandular tissue that might be floating around wherever. It's kind of like a cleanup crew, they call it. So if it is close to the border, I'll probably have to get the whole gland taken out and they'll give you the radioactive iodine. If not, then they could do one lobe, and I might not even need replacement if my one lobe that's left is sufficient. So that's where I'm at with that as far as that's concerned. It's interesting when they give you radioactive iodine. I don't know if you guys know this. You actually become radioactive. So like for 2 days, you can't go near anyone. You have to isolate. So Chris, I'm gonna actually probably have to stay in a hotel, like probably up in Hollywood there. Yeah. What's my wife Amanda gonna say to me, Chris?
No, you can't leave the house. She'll say you can go out to the office.
I can't. Because I gotta get out of the house because I'll infect the kids. I can't expose them. She's gonna say I'm on vacation, right?
You would be on vacation. You get a break.
She's 100% right. She's 100% right.
Can you imagine how much sleep I'll get at those 2 nights in the hotel?
Oh my God! Yeah, and room service, and
yeah. It's not like you want to get cancer, but if you're gonna get cancer, you might as well get something out of it, right?
I don't want a worst case scenario of them messing up your voice box, Dave. Now and your whole voice changes.
I might sound like Tiny Tim when they're done. Who knows?
I don't want to come. I don't want to come on to HMR at 2022. This is Dave Palumbo.
Yeah, I'll sound like I'll sound like Marlon Brando from The Godfather.
So, Dave, are you going to do alternative medicine stuff also, Dave?
I'm doing both. Yeah, this you bring up a good point, Tony, because a lot of people reached out to me. Don't get surgery. The new thing in Japan is they do what's called wait and watch. They watch these thyroid tumors because a lot of them. My surgeon said I might have had this for 2 years and not even known about it because a lot of times they don't even grow these things. They're very slow growing. The problem is that no matter how long they watch and wait and watch them, eventually they all have to come out. So what the fuck am I gonna wait for until it spreads? To me it's asinine. To even think about that. Although I'm doing ozone treatments. I have an ozone machine. I'm going to be doing I'm drinking ozonated water. I'm doing ozone IVs. I'm doing a little baking soda in the morning to alkalinize my body. I'm doing someone else, Anthony DiPasquale, who is Mauro DiPasquale's nephew, actually. I had him on my TV show. You'll see it this coming week. He's a big believer in pancreatin. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like I get it from pigs. It's all the digestive juices. Supposedly, like the pancreatic digestive enzymes, the lipases and the amylases, and supposedly that helps dissolve cysts in your body. I don't know if it's going to work on cancer cells, but that's one of the things that he's a big believer in. So I'm trying all these different modalities, high vitamin C content. I already do injectable glutathione from Titan Medical, so I'm going to do all the alternative stuff in addition to get the surgery and get it out too, because I don't want it in my body. There's no reason to keep it there.
Tony, no alternative cancer cures from your end of the world?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I mean,
what do they do over there?
Well, I'd have to research specifically that your type of cancer and all. I mean, I wouldn't just speculate and throw something out there. But yeah, there is, and obviously, so I'm in Thailand, and so I could find what Thailand does for cancer. But also, when I'm in places like this, I meet international people from all over the world who are also outside the matrix, and some of them recovered from cancer, whatever. So I hear alternative cancer treatments all the time, and then there's many different types of cancer and different ways to treat each type of cancer. But yeah, it's pretty amazing success stories from people who have used medicine outside of the Western system and had great results versus, people who use the Western system, they get the cancer cut out, the cancer comes back. It's a never ending nightmare.
Right.
But
it's fun.
If I was given the opportunity, good, please.
I was just saying, it's funny because Australia, we have a good medical system here where everyone's covered and stuff, but you'd be amazed the amount of people, because like Tony said, Thailand and sometimes China, but a lot of people from Australia go to Thailand for many operations, cancer, whether it be even reconstructive type stuff, dental stuff, breast stuff, everything. You can, whatever operation you can have here, we can pretty much get it done for free here, but people are choosing to go to Thailand because they reckon some of the doctors and what they're doing over there is far superior than what the doctors here in Australia are actually doing. So,
well, this is something that people in America would find blow their mind, because when I hadn't traveled around the world, I thought Americans were the wealthiest, most advanced in the world. That's what we as Americans think. We think America is the center of the world, or the universe, I should say. But then I come to places like Thailand. I was dating this girl who is a project manager for wellness clinics. And she set up one in Australia, and she set up one in Malaysia and Singapore and Japan, and now they're just finishing one in Thailand. And people pay some ridiculous amount, like $20,000 per week.
Wow.
And they go there and they live in a little townhouse, and they have various different doctors of different specialties doing all kinds of tests on them, doing their genetic tests, their brain neurochemistry tests, everything. And so if someone who's super wealthy gets cancer or some other type of disease, they go to one of these clinics and they just completely, every element of their health, they just fix it. And the theory is that if you fix every element of someone's health, then the body's able to regenerate itself. And they're doing a huge amount of business. You never hear about this because it's so far out of our price range, we can't imagine. But in other countries like this, you have a wealthy class that is so wealthy, us Americans can't even relate to it.
But you know what?
One of my friends, his mother, they're pretty wealthy from Sydney, down in that Rose Bay area, right on the water where Kidman and all they live. Like her house is at $60 million. She was having some breast cancer here, where not sure what happened. It had to do with the lymph nodes where it had spread that bad, where they had to remove it and stuff. But then the doctors here said, oh, it's probably spread that much. If we remove even your breast, it's already gone into the other tissues and stuff. She ended up going to Thailand, like Tony's saying. I forget the name of it, but it's almost like a hospital resort combined, where she got the operation. They removed all the cancer, but she stayed there for about 3 months in the resort. And like Tony said, every second day the doctor checks on her. They do everything. So it's almost like you're in this resort, but yet it's a hospital. And everything's being done right there. So she didn't have to go anywhere. She was in this room where the doctors would check on her. But yet it was almost like a 5-star hotel room, which is joined under the hospital, where the top specialists would check on her all the time. And last test she had done, she's been cancer-free now, which they said some of the doctors here wouldn't touch her. So she spent the money, went over there and had it done, had that breast augmentation done, removed it all. And but she was there for about 2 or 3 months. But it was like a whole thing, resort, hospital combined, where it was just round the clock checking on her, getting everything done.
Your mental state is huge in how you heal from these things and overcome these things and beat these diseases. I remember my friend, Dr. Blau, you obviously all know him. He does all the gynecomastia surgeries. He had pancreatic cancer. That's pretty deadly. He went to in the city, Sloan Kettering there, hospital. They have the top floor is like the penthouse, and they're like hotel rooms. They're huge. They're massive hotel rooms, and same situation. You don't even know you're in a hospital. They do the surgery there, or your family can stay in the hotel room with you. That's how big this thing is. There's like multiple beds, and it's like gorgeous, all wood. I mean, it's like a fortune it's like $5,000 a day. But he had the money. He didn't care. He stayed there for 2 weeks, and you know what? It was huge in his recovery process, and he beat it. He got that Whipple procedure. Mm-hmm. They cut it out, and they gave him a very, very mild course of chemo after, and he beat it. But absolutely, people. But just Chris Chris obviously had the skin cancer. He can attest to this. But when you get it's great in theory when you hear all these alternative therapies, and I want to heal this, and I believe that the body can heal itself. But when you get the diagnosis yourself, okay, and now they tell you have cancer in your body, it changes your mindset of how you want to deal with it very, very quickly. Like, because I know that when you look at the statistics on thyroid cancer, if they remove it, it's like the most curable cancer there is. It's not like something that like 99% of them are cured. And mine is one of the smallest ones. There's no lymph node involvement. So for me to risk, like, let me try to naturally heal it and wait 6 months, a year before I do anything, it could spread, and I could make a huge, very bad mistake by not having it removed. Mm-hmm. Now, if I had liver cancer that was all over my body, or pancreatic like my mother did, I might, change the way I address how I handle it. I might go for more of the naturalistic healing and that type of thing because the idea of having to do chemotherapy and all these other crazy things, that's scary to me. The fact that if I could just get my thyroid taken out and I'm done and go on replacement, that's not a big deal to me. What do you say, Chris?
Do you think there was a holistic cure for Derek?
Derek Anthony?
Yeah.
Well, he didn't have cancer, but he certainly had something going on with his liver, and he had kidney failure. I think
I thought they found a tumor on his liver.
Yeah, I don't think that's what killed him. I think it was the kidney failure. But his problem was he needed psychological help.
But it was the chemo that killed him.
I don't know if they put him on chemo. Did they?
He had two. Yeah, he had two.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He had two major doses of chemo, and then he died after the second one.
Oh, well, don't forget, if you're in kidney failure and they're giving you chemo, you're probably not going to make it because the kidneys would filter all that crap out of your body,
Right.
So I don't know.
He was doomed.
Chris, what's your take on that? I just want to hear Chris's opinion on this because he's probably the most relevant other person who's had cancer and dealt with it.
Well, I had stage 3, so
yeah.
Stage 3 melanoma, which is one of the most aggressive. Melanoma is one of the most aggressive.
Yeah.
Where was it on your?
It was under my armpit.
Oh, really? Wait.
He had a little mole, John, that was there his whole life. Practically told
like
me,
on your
right?
like on your chest or on the arm?
Halfway between my underarm and where you would wear your belt.
Okay.
What was the question, Dave? Western medicine versus like?
Yeah, like when you get the diagnosis yourself, it changes how you assess what you want to do. Wouldn't you say?
It changes. I think when you get a diagnosis, I think some contributing factor, what percent, I have no idea, but some contributing factor whether you, quote, get over it, like, and be successful. And I hate the word beat it because I never want to jinx it.
Yeah.
But I think it's your mindset. And I think, if it sets you into a total panic, that's not a good thing. No. And, I think, with me personally, I went to, like anyone would, you'd go to a professional, someone highly recommended. I didn't do, I would love to go to him and stay at the Ritz-Carlton. I'd probably be more relaxed. Those places you're talking about. But I had trust in the person who was overseeing me. But the flip side of that is I was, I didn't want to die. But I was, my idea was I had no say in when I would come into the world. So I thought it was obnoxious to think that I would have a say, like at what age I would be dying, or what, you don't want to die in a car crash or a plane crash, or you don't want to drown, you want to die in your sleep and not even know about it.
Right.
You don't want to die, quote, suddenly. So I was, comfortable as you can get, knowing that, well, I guess, you know what, I had no idea. I mean, I had no contribution, like where I would be born. I could be born in any country under any, I could be born into poverty. So, I didn't know when I was going to be born. So I think it's obnoxious to think, that I would be living to 80. And I think that to some small degree allows you to navigate the stress, right? Because it's the added stress of the diagnosis. Being able to deal somewhat better, because it is overwhelmingly stressful, right?
Yeah.
When the doctor says, you might not live much longer. So I think your mindset is important. And I think, it sounds like when I think of alternative medicine, I think of also getting your mindset right. And that's why they put you like overlooking the beach and,
Sure.
you don't you don't have to go anywhere because it's just too much. It's so overwhelming. The whole process of getting this test and going to that test and going to this test. It'd be nice to do it in a comfortable environment where, people looking out after every aspect of you. But I throw it all out the window, Dave, because I didn't eat well. I mean, I didn't eat well when I had, I didn't change my eating habits, or I didn't take like extra vitamins. I just,
Yeah, you really you didn't do like the whole like, all right, I'm changing everything. You just said I'm going to go for the treatment and that's it, and your body beat it.
Well, let me ask you.
The advice of my doctor was actually, he said, you know what, I think we'll beat this thing. And in retrospect, I asked him, was that just like a pep talk? And he told me it was, because he wasn't confident that we would. But he said, go out and live your life like you were living your life before you met me. You have to live your life, even though you have no energy, but you have to live it the way you were living it before you met me. If you start to change your life based on the diagnosis, even though you feel terrible, the minute you start thinking about changing your life in a different way, you've kind of allowed a cancer to get the upper hand on you and to control you. So,
True.
I mean, I quote beat it, and I have no idea how. I can't attribute it to maybe just luck. I mean, because a lot of people who beat it, don't, and a lot of people who have very okay, things are going great, they go downhill quickly, and things where people were going downhill quickly, make a comeback. So you never know. You really never know. And what that experience taught me is, you do never know. You don't know how you're going to die, and you don't know on your diagnosis. So you could, I could have gone to Thailand and got experimental treatment and got the same results, maybe.
Or you might have died.
Yeah, or that's right. You finished the sentence for me. Or I could have died right away.
Yeah.
So, Chris, was it like the mindset when someone you have skin cancer, like it was a mole that you've had your whole life that suddenly turned cancerous? Was that it?
Yeah, it was a mole that I always had. I always had multiple moles,
So is when you get a sentence like, yeah, it's the mole is malignant, or is that less impactful than some saying if you have lung cancer or brain cancer or something that seems like organically much more catastrophic, or is your mindset, well, it's skin cancer, they'll just cut the mole out and I'll be fine? Is it
I didn't know because I was ignorant.
No, John, his spread.
Oh, it was metastasized?
Yeah, mine took off.
Oh, wow, okay.
Mine wasn't a mole. Mine was a mole that took off, that I had my lymph nodes removed, I had the mole removed, mine was not like a garden variety.
You went to Fearon for like a year straight.
Yeah,
so.
I went completely nuts, and I stayed nuts from the interferon.
With yours, Chris, did they have to take it big? Because my sort of skin cancer runs in my family. My grandfather would always have to get some removed. My mother had one done off her ear and nose. My uncle, same thing. He had one on his back. He had like a little mole he had for years. It got itchy, and he started thinking it just started to change shape. And by the time he had his cut out of his back, it had spread. And when you see his back now, there's probably about even though the mole was probably this big, they had to take a piece out like this and about that deep. They just had to take this big hollow part out of his back to get all of it.
That was step one.
Now I get
Lee had skin cancer, and luckily it was right on his tattoo, and they just amazing. They just pulled it right off.
No, the funny thing is, because it sort of runs in my family, the last month I got this mole on my back. I thought I've had like a mosquito bite. And I'm like, that's itchy all the time. And my wife had a look, she goes, that's a mole, so I'm off to get it checked.
Yeah, get it cut off.
I don't want to jinx you. Mine was itchy. Itchy.
Yeah. That's how mine is.
Is that
I got like
one of the signs?
No more cancer, John. We said it.
No, it was itchy. You got to get it taken off, and it's so cheap to have a mole taken off.
I know, it's crazy.
People have moles, and they like, it's like $70. To get it taken off.
Because I keep saying to the wife, do I have an itchy bite like a mosquito bit me? I said, where is it? She goes, she starts scratching. I said, that's it. She goes, that's a mole. I'm like, I'm off to get it checked.
Valentino had the throat cancer. I got the thyroid. No more cancer. I said not allowed.
You know what? Also, screw coming on this show.
That's right.
Tony,
John's petrified. He called me the other day. He was shaking in his boots. He wants to go for a full body scan. You know what the truth is, John? And I think Chris will attest to this, even though Chris has had spread. When you have, I think Chris has a very good immune system. I think he had a mole that just went bad, and sometimes that can happen. And same thing with my thyroid. I think that thyroid issues run in my family, and I think I don't think organically my body is in a bad state. Like, because I eat really well. I take a million supplements. I'm not like a guy who neglects myself. I have no body fat. I really do take good care of my health. So I think this is like an isolated incident. And I don't think it necessarily says, paints a picture of me not taking care of myself. Although I don't sleep enough because I have kids, but I just don't believe that. And I don't think with Chris it's the same thing. Like I don't think Chris never gets sick, So, I think he's pretty healthy. I think that was an isolated incident that just happened to be a mole that just, turned bad. And had he had that removed probably, years earlier, he never would have even gotten the cancer,
But do you think too it could just be genetics? Because I've had friends that, like you said, eat healthy, never drink, never smoke, have fish, exercise, 45, heart attack, dead. And I've got friends and relatives in their 80s, smoke like chimneys, drink like anything, and they're healthy as anything. I'm like, bloody hell. I know people that go from dropping dead heart attacks from going to the gym, but yet these just sit at home, watch the football, rest the beer on their stomach, smoking away. Had my blood test done. Doctor said I'm fine. It's like,
look what happened to Sean Perrine, God rest his soul. I mean, right? I mean, he had that cancer out of nowhere. I mean, the guy was the picture of health. If you guys don't know who he is, he was one of the writers.
So fast. I mean, it was like
he died really fast.
Really fast.
But I think too, it's like Dave said too, the mindset. Because my auntie, she used to smoke a lot, and happiest person. I mean, every day laughing, just carrying on. She went to the doctors. Doctor gave her the thing. You got lung cancer, and from the day she come home, she goes, "I'm dying. That's it." And within 2 months, gone. She went from this vibrant, happy person to she just said, I'm going to die anyway, so why should I worry? Her brain just switched off living, and she was gone in no time.
Yeah, that's sad.
Tony, I had a question for Tony.
Okay, good.
Did you ever notice all of the past U.S. presidents from Carter forward have all lived well into their 90s? Do you think they give them something, that there's some treatment or drug or something they give presidents that give them this incredible longevity?
I'll just wildly speculate on this, that when you have the type of resources that very powerful people have, they have the option to use these types of things that can massively extend their life, but a lot of them don't. I mean, I know a lot of super wealthy people that can't be bothered with vitamins and supplements and whatever. They just don't care. So that's not the only factor. I get really curious when I see someone who's really wealthy and powerful dying of a disease that I would have thought would have been curable at their level, though. So that's
Steve
what
Jobs
quite figured out. Exactly. That's exactly
right. He had enough money to do whatever.
Steve didn't want treatment. He wanted to meditate it away.
Oh, is that true? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He thought that somebody cutting him open was just so.
Oh yeah, what a nutcase.
Well, isn't George Soros like 200 years old? He's still there.
He's drinking the blood of dead virgins,
Hey,
though, right?
hey, listen. It's the Illuminati, but what we can say is, look, we've seen Joe Biden give speeches. If Joe Biden in the next 6 months gives a comprehensive speech that I can understand, I'll know he's on some special medication. If Joe Biden comes on TV and I go, shit, I actually understood him. There is a drug. There is a drug.
There is hope. Yeah, there's a hope. Hope for Alzheimer's. I got a question for Tony. Tony, what can I inject into women to make them more horny? This guy wants to know.
Okay. The picture is a picture of you, Dave. There. With
I know. This guy puts up videos of me all the time. That's why.
Great. So I inject my girlfriends with PT 141.
Oh yeah, that's enhanced the sex drive. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely makes them horny.
How much?
How much do I inject them with?
Yeah.
So if it's I believe it's a 1 milligram vial. So I put 1 milliliter of water in there, so a total of 100 units on an insulin needle, and I will inject them with about 15 units, maybe up to 20.
Willingly, or do you have to tie them up?
Imagine there's plenty of videos of you chasing a woman around with a syringe.
What was the name of that one again?
PT 141.
You can get it at TitanMedicalCenter.com. They sell it. Yeah.
Where do they sell it?
TitanMedicalCenter.com sells it.
So I also poured it up their nose. It is absorbed through the nose, not quite as much, but
really,
and then they're afraid of the needles. So I need to put it in a nasal spray bowl, so they're not afraid.
I inject mine with PENIS 7.5. I might have added the 0.5 on the end there, but
So you do have to tie them up.
Yeah.
That's foreplay, John. It's foreplay.
They want to know what enhanced products is Ramy taking. Anything?
Well, he's going to be using. He wasn't using the mainstream products before, but he'll be using all of them. He's under no pressure to use them or anything, but he'll be honest about what he's using and what he likes and what he doesn't. Dennis,
you're making everything you said he wants, right? You're kind of asking him his opinion on stuff, right?
Right, exactly.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm glad. Congratulations once again on signing him. You know.
Mm-hmm. And this is going to be a huge Nick Strength and Power show. Ramy signs with Dr. Tony. Huge. I can hear it now. It's going to go on forever.
So, Tony, how big is Ramy going to be next year?
How big is he going to be? Is he going to get bigger, you mean?
Is he?
This is what makes I feel stressed for these top-level bodybuilders because they are so big. I know how hard it is to maintain that size, and I know how hard it is to get conditioned, how much suffering they have to go through. And it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week sport. I don't know. It's a mental game because it's so hard to do what he does and other guys do. I'm always worried. If I'm in that situation, it's so when you're trying to reach the top and you're hungry for it, I think it's easier. And then once you're at the top, you almost have nowhere to go but down. So you have all this stress of a champion to try and protect your title. I'm nervous. But I also, he's experimented over his whole career with what's worked for him. And now he's found what works best for him. And so now if he can continue and improve on that, that's the real question. So he knows that he has to suffer more during those 3 weeks before the competition than before, and than most people maybe have to. I hope it'll be really interesting to watch. I hope one thing that we get out of this too is a little bit more behind the scenes tracking of what it is that he's doing to keep improving through these competitions. I like the transparency, and I think he'll open up and show us a little bit more now.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the big signing. You obviously won the lottery, I think, getting big Rami on board with your new company. That's got to really put it on the map. And when will we see it being rolled out into the United States?
Yeah, I'd say within 2 months you'll see a lot of the work coming to fruition that we're working on right now.
Are you going to be selling it on Amazon? I mean, where's it going to be sold mostly?
Well, there's the www.getenhanced.shop, which is the mainstream supplement company website.
Sure.
But another thing this allows us to do is work through mainstream wholesalers. So you'll see it on supplement shelves and the mainstream platforms for sales. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, congratulations, Tony.
Don't go blowing all your money on Rami. I've told you. Once Chris starts to get Leonie Priest ready for the Miss Olympia,
Leonie,
there better be some money left over for Leonie here because she's going to come in ripped.
Leanne Priest.
You want Leanne? You don't want Leonie?
No.
Sorry.
I'm going to be Chris.
Leonie's okay.
Tony's going to inject your penis to shrivel it up a little bit so that you don't have any bulges in your.
Well, we won't need many injections for that. It's already like a stack of quarters.
One of the funniest things we did with Enhanced Athlete in our prime there was, remember Dave, Kane Bishop, the bodybuilder.
Yeah.
He came to you and did the show about his cycle that we had to take the video down because
he was great. Dude, that was a great show.
He wanted it censored, but with Kane Bishop, we put a wig on him and put him in like a crop top, and we gave him the character Candy Bichet. and I didn't know this, but Kane Bishop actually had a degree. His college education was in drama. So he's actually a professional actor. I just never saw that side of him. When he put the wig on, he became Candy Bichet.
Well, when Lee puts his wig on, he's going to become...
You haven't seen acting until I put my wig on.
The men will be all over him.
I fully support your transition.
Tony's going to line me up some big headliner clubs in Thailand. Woo! I'll be over there. Lee, you've never seen Lee in pumps, a wig, and a stripper pole. Let me tell you.
Woo!
How is he going to hide a trip to Thailand and so Elise won't find out?
He's dressing up as well, John.
He's just heard. He's listening to the show. He's just heard you're going to dress up like a girl. And how could he not?
Well, he's going to be on the Olympia stage like that, John. It's going to be Iris Kyle, Lee Priest, and Leanne Priest, and
Leona.
He has the right to get on that stage if he identifies with being a woman. That's the new law, right?
And my benefactor, Stephanie Bletchman. Once she resigns me, Stephanie, that's
he's going to be hanging out with Caitlyn Jenner and the Kardashians and everything like that. He'll be getting his legs waxed, with Caitlyn.
Yeah, but Caitlyn
getting his lips pumped up a little bit with some collagen,
Yeah, but Caitlyn's not driving though. We're not letting her drive the car.
He's a good driver.
I thought Bruce used to be a race car driver for a while.
He used to race
No, remember the whole court case? She was in drag and she crashed a car and killed someone. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That's because she was fixing her makeup. But I think when he was Bruce, he was actually a good driver.
He used to race for Nissan with
right.
See, it just proves women drivers suck. He was a race car driver. He became a woman and he crashed and killed someone. There you go.
I'm gonna have to put a warning up now before the show, John, to say that we're not, we don't have, we don't.
If All in the Family bothered you, this show is not for you.
Yeah, no, it's not for you. Thank you, Tony, for joining us. Of course, Chris, thanks. John, thanks. Lee, I know you got it at the last minute there, but you didn't leave us hanging. That's for sure.
I'm not hanging.
Someone wrote Governor DeSantis for president. You think he'll win? You think he'll run for president? I love him.
I don't know. I just like how everyone's coming down on Cuomo now in New York over those deaths in the old people's homes.
Yeah.
Even his own people are attacking him.
Well, that's what they do.
Buddy and Gavin Newsom in California.
Yeah, that's right.
With
They build you up
his
and then they go
Chinese,
after you.
the Chinese spy girlfriend. That one.
Another one for you.
Oh my God! All right, well let's wrap this up. As we say every week, where's this whole one? Thailand trap. As we say every week here at Heavy Muscle Radio, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
Truth
Good night, everyone.
hurts.
We'll
And so does a sick change.
We'll see you next week.